Analisa Six here with the Lady of Leisure and the Sober Curator to bring you the July 2024 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Scorpio for sun and rising placements. I feel like I should have made my hair a little less distracting and crazy before I hopped on here. I've already recorded quite a few videos today. I'm definitely hitting kind of a wall, but I don't have a lot of time to record the rest of these this week. So I'm trying to push through and just get as far as I can today. But welcome to July Cancer season. We've already been in Cancer season for a minute, but in July, we're always in the cardinal water sign of Cancer. And that is kind of the frequency of summer for us. And Cancer energy is really good for Scorpio energy because you guys are both water signs. So Scorpio is the fixed water sign of the zodiac and Cancer is the cardinal water sign of the zodiac. And you make what are called a trine to each other. So the aspect that's hitting is a trine, and trines are not necessarily good or bad. They're just fast and easy flowing energy. So the energy moves more quickly and more at ease than a square aspect or an inconjunct. Sometimes it can feel like a lot, if we're feeling overly emotional about something. Sometimes it feels like the floodgates are open and we're more sensitive or open to feelings and vulnerability and things like that. But it also can make things a lot more joyful and fulfilling, especially if we're doing, spiritually fulfilling things, self-care things, all of that. The area of the horoscope that the Cancer energy hits for Scorpio is the ninth house in the chart. And the ninth house is the house that represents our connection to higher education and learning, long distance travel, our values and belief systems when it comes to things like religion, spirituality, philosophy, psychology, those types of things. It also has a relationship to publishing. So if we're working on publishing anything, that's really supported right now. Teaching, but also being a student is really supported. So if you're a student of something, you've got all this really great energy in terms of like kind of keeping you open and in the flow with everything. And if you're did I say if you're a student? Yeah. If you're a teacher, this is also really positive for you in terms of teaching in that way. Like things are flowing, things are moving forward. We start out the month with Sun, Venus, and Mercury in this place. And then we also have Mars in Taurus, and the area of the chart that's hitting for Scorpio is the house that rules relationships. So the seventh house. Taurus is the opposite sign of Scorpio. And so you guys make what's called an opposition to each other. And oppositions they do a couple things. There's obviously a repulsion kind of dynamic where it's like opposites tend to be like frustrated with each other because they do similar things, but in the opposite way. So there's tension there. But then there's also the attraction element. The opposites attract because you are on a similar frequency, even though you may do things in different ways, there's still kind of this pull to each other. And the thing about a lot of the signs when they're, dealing with their opposing factor is the lessons that we're there to kind of glean out of our opposition is how do we integrate polarity? In a lot of Hermetic philosophy, you'll hear things like the universe is always seeking to balance itself. And so in the birth chart, every sign has an opposite, and the whole chart is a wheel of oppositions. And so we're always kind of in this place of trying to figure out how to integrate polarity and these different things that are maybe in conflict or harmony with each other. And so Mars, is the ruler of Scorpio, the traditional ruler of Scorpio. And so having your ruler in the sign of Taurus, Mars is actually in its detriment. It's in an area that it doesn't particularly like to be in. But I actually really like Mars and all of the Earth signs because it just kind of puts a more like emphasis on us getting things done in the material. But in the relationship house, it's not the best. Mars, when it is in a relationship house, especially when it's a house that has to do with partnership dynamics like best friends or romantic partners or business partners, there is a lot more opportunity for conflict here. So, I think we have a negative association with conflict usually because it's just not fun, but one of the things that is really positive about conflict is that it brings things up to the surface that maybe we need to address or work on with people. And in Taurus slows things down and likes to take a more realistic and practical approach to an issue. So Mars and Taurus in the seventh house is like, how can we slow things down in the relationship, talk about things, maybe take a more practical approach to things. Mars, however, isn't a slow moving planet. Like it kind of, has a bull in a china shop kind of energy in Taurus, which is why I think some of the detriment happens, where that stubbornness or that kind of inability to bend, happens in Taurus. So there's a lot of those themes coming up for you in July, the first 3 weeks of July when Mars is passing through here. So things in the relationship might be kind of rocky. You do really well to kind of focus more on your spirituality, kind of this ninth house thing, like getting outside of yourself, learning, growing, expanding beyond where you've been, that kind of thing. Also, Venus and Mars are making kind of harmonious energy to each other at the beginning of the month. So this also kind of enables you to work through things in a more harmonious way, even if there's challenges. At the beginning of the month, we also have Neptune stationing retrograde on the 2nd and Mercury entering the fixed sign of Leo. Mercury in Leo is going to be really positive for the Scorpio energy in terms of your career. However, Leo does make a hard aspect to Scorpio. It does square Scorpio. I'm a Leo that loves Scorpios. I have so many in my life. I tend to get along with Scorpios really well, but we are both fixed signs that square each other. So there is some tension sometimes when what I want is not what that person wants. But as long as I'm with a Scorpio that kind of is similar to me, that wants similar things, it tends to work out pretty well. Mercury in the 10th house in Leo is all about how you're expressing and communicating yourself in your career and your public life. So this is a really positive time to work on any areas that you feel inadequate or you lack confidence. If you're having a hard time with self-esteem, this is a time to work on it. And Mercury is here to help you with that. If you're somebody that's already a really confident person, you might need to be a little bit mindful about being too prideful or arrogant, as that can kind of come back to bite you, especially with Mars passing through the 7th house. But you are here to kind of work on your self-expression and your confidence around how you express yourself. So it is a positive time to reflect on those themes, but it just depends on where you're at. If you're a Scorpio that has a lot of humbling lessons to learn, especially through relationship dynamics, you're going to be learning those lessons through your career as well. If you're a Scorpio that needs to work more on building more confidence and getting more confident at confronting things, that's supported with these transits. Neptune stationing retrograde at 29 degrees of Pisces on the 2nd. The area that this is hitting for the horoscope for you is the 5th house, which is the house that traditionally Leo rules. And you've had Neptune passing through this house for 15 years. So one of the things that I'm telling all the signs is think back 15 years ago. What were you doing? Where were you at? What were you working on in your life? Because that's about to wrap up. This retrograde is going to be lasting until December. And so you're in a reflect review period over who you've been in the way that you express yourself. The 5th house is the house of self-expression and creativity. And here during this retrograde, you're going to have Mercury at the top of your chart helping you with that. And then Neptune retrograde is helping you figure it out in new and different ways. So self-expression, creativity, creative self-expression is a big theme for you. Neptune is going to be retrograde until December. It'll station direct in December and then finish up its stint in Pisces and move into Aries in March of 2025. So it's a big ending over a cycle that we've been in over the last 15, 14 years. So it's something to really think about, how you express yourself, what's your relationship to joy, creativity, all of that. On July 5th, we have a full moon happening. We have a new moon happening at 14 degrees of Cancer. This is happening in the area that, we talked about at the beginning, which is the area that represents spirituality, our values and belief systems, higher education and learning, long distance travel. So new moons are all about setting intention. So if there's things that you've been wanting to manifest into your life around those 9th house themes, this is a great time to set intentions towards that. Great time for setting intentions around, things you want to learn, places you want to go, ways that you want to expand your understanding of the world, spirituality, all of that kind of stuff. Then the next major shift in energy we have is Venus leaving Cancer and entering Leo on the 11th. And this is really positive energy for you when it comes to your career and your work life. Again, Leo makes a hard aspect to Scorpio. So even though this is really blessing your career energy, there's still some tension there, because what's happening really for you is that you're being kind of forced to level up and expand and grow beyond where you've been comfortable. Mars in Taurus is and with Uranus in Taurus is pushing you out of comfort zones. You've had this ninth house energy that's like wanting you to expand and grow beyond where you've been. And then, this Neptune retrograde mixed with this Mercury Venus energy, it's very much like it's time for you to level up and be more forward facing in your career, your work life, your creative life. And it's time for you to gain the confidence around it and not be, shy. Don't be shy. Don't be hidden. It's, if you're a shy, hidden Scorpio, this energy is like pushing you out of that. It's like, nope, it's time for you to be in the public eye and more centered and kind of not so introverted or hidden. It's very like public energy. The next shift of energy that we have after Venus entering Leo is Mars is going to enter Gemini on the 21st. And then we have a full moon at 29 degrees Capricorn. So talking about the full moon, we had a full moon on June 21st that was at 1 degree Capricorn. And now a month later on July 21st, we have a full moon at 29 degrees Capricorn. So on June 21st, we were starting something. And on July 21st, we're releasing or letting go of something. And the area of the chart that this hits for Scorpio is communication patterns. So basically, just to sum it up and make it really simple, this full moon on July 21st is a really positive time for you to reflect on what communication dynamics in your life and with yourself are not working anymore. And how can you release and let go of anything that's standing in the way of that changing for you? That can be your communication on how you respond to things with people, but also maybe some of the stuff that you need to make better boundaries with. And maybe, if someone else has a dynamic with you and you need to say, hey, I don't like this dynamic, we need to have better boundaries around it. That Capricorn full moon is helping you do that. Mars entering Gemini, the area of the horoscope that this is hitting for you is a continuation of relationship themes. And this is going to be going on through September. So unfortunately, when Mars passes this area of the chart, it is pretty challenging. The 8th house is the house that represents marriage, shared assets and resources with family, but as well as marital partners. It's banks, loans, investments. It's also the house that has to do with sex, death, and rebirth, and also our relationship to the occult. Usually when Mars is passing through this house for people, there's definitely some turbulence in relationships if shared resources are part of it. And also there can be turbulence with family members around estates, money, or shared resources or assets. This transit, again, is going to be happening until the beginning of September. So, you're just going to have kind of a rocky end to July. All of August is going to be rocky for all of us. So you're not alone there. And then, through September, there's going to just be some dust getting kicked up. So, after having been through some of these transits myself and having advised a lot of people going through this, whatever has not been dealt with, it's at a breaking point. It's going to get dealt with, and the cards are going to fall the way they fall, and the breaking point is going to happen. So if you've been waiting on something within a financial situation around assets or shared resources, that's going to happen. If you're having marital issues, like there's going to be a breaking point. If you're having issues with family members, there's going to be a breaking point. And by breaking point, I mean that whatever's kind of been bubbling up is going to come to a head and it's going to get worked out. And sometimes it's really challenging. It's really difficult when Mars is passing through this area of the chart. Jupiter's already here. Jupiter's already bringing those themes up, and it's already going to be bringing those themes up for the whole rest of the year. So Mars is just here to kind of amp that up and push it along a bit. The last big shift. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't talk about Leo season. So after that, on July 22nd, we enter Leo season. The sun is going to move into the 10th house and join Venus and Mercury there. And this is great for your career. So all of your work stuff, this is really positive for you having the sun here. And we're in Leo season, so you're definitely kind of amplified into, this more public facing creative space. And then the last big shift of the month in terms of planetary movement is Mercury entering the mutable sign of Virgo. So we're going to have Mercury entering its retrograde shadow period. It's not retrograde yet, but it's entering the shadow period too with this. And the area of the chart that's hitting for you is the area that has to do with friendships and group associations, political organizations, any community oriented stuff. So Mercury here enhances your social kind of skills, but once it stations retrograde, you're also maybe experiencing some turbulence in this area as well. So, Mercury is a time to reflect and review and reassess. And so once Mercury is in Virgo, you're going to have this opportunity to really have a lot of social time, but also reflect and review the people that you're surrounded with, whether or not they're the people you want to be surrounded with, whether or not the communication dynamics of it are things that you want to be aligned with. So those are that is going to be a big theme for you going into August and ending out July. All right, Scorpio, I hope that this was fun and informative for you, and I look forward to seeing you in August. If you like this, make sure to hit the like, subscribe button so that you get notified on when I post these. You can also book a reading with me. My email is in the description box, and you can get in touch with me through there. All right, I will see you guys all next month.